welcome to the Bempire, the Bay Electronic Music Performers Group, radio show, podcast, all of the above. You just heard a track. I'm here actually on Discord with Astralogik. They're a very special guest.
Hey.
Hello.
Hello. So, introduce the track and then introduce yourselves.
All right. So you just listened to our latest track called New Me. It was in collaboration with the Bay Area producer duo Track Runner.
TRKRNR.
Yeah. And we are Astralogik. That's the voices and the guitar that you heard inside the track you just heard. That's from us, Astralogik.
And my name is Rowena. And
I'm Churrito. There's two of us here. What's up?
It's great to have you. Yeah, well, on the show right now, it's just going to be the three of us. But so a little bit of background. I actually found out about you guys that very show that I went to in the Sofa Street Fair. I want to say 2, maybe 3 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was really just super enamored with your whole aesthetic. You had this kind of peaceful vibe on stage, and I listened to a lot of music that day, but you were one of the bands that really stood out to me as somebody that I wanted to keep my eye on. And I'm really glad to see you've been performing a lot. And yeah, so tell us a little bit about the band. Obviously, that was a really great track, but how did you get formed? Yeah, just like give us the history here.
Okay. Well, so for those who don't know us, I'm mainly a vocalist, and Rowena,
I'm a guitarist.
she's a guitarist. So we actually started out as an acoustic duo when we had met a couple of years ago. And, you know, it was the first time for me personally as a vocalist that I've ever started creating, you know, my own music instead of just singing covers. And so we just started experimenting, and then, you know, we enjoyed the acoustic stuff, but then it started evolving because we would buy stuff at Guitar Center and then just like, but then have these new toys and then just experiment with these electronic elements and sounds, and Ableton as a DAW, and then, you know, that's when we just started incorporating all these other styles into our sonic framework, and our vibe has always sort of been in this kind of worldly, like we've always been very compassionate people in general, and so we bring a lot of that into the music, into the lyricism, especially being like compassionate to the self, because I feel like humans nowadays, we kind of like work ourselves to the ground, and we're always trying to just like find that balance in ourselves, and so a lot of the struggle of facing that comes out in the music, and a lot of the music is based around that, just the self-healing, so that we can bring more of that to our communities outside. So yeah, I mean, this is actually probably the fastest song that we have right now. But a lot of our stuff used to be generally very mellow and just very like atmospheric and
Very reflective.
Yeah. So it's been a journey.
Oh, and I'm the Astra, Rowena, and Churrito's like the Logic. So.
Yeah. So
that's kind of how
that's kind of the name, where the name came from. Astralogik was sort of these two halves coming together and merging and balancing each other, because I am very much a logical mindset. I'm very pragmatic. I like systems. And then she's always up in the sky, like floating around, don't worry about anything. But we need each other to balance and to sort of like I guess be able to grow in this world. So yeah, that's the Astralogik.
We're definitely growing in this world.
Sure. Makes sense.
Yeah, that's our story, man.
That's very cool. Was this the first project that the two of you worked together, or were you doing a lot of like little small stuff before this band kind of formed fully?
For me, it's when I was working with like some poets before I met Churrito, and that's just like a lot of improv behind poetry and spoken word. And when I met Churrito, that's when I started to like really own in my own creations with the guitar. And a lot of that has been based, like all the music that was coming about is like being around my family, and then also meeting new people after a really bad breakup. But then when I met Churrito, everything just started kind of flowering really fast. Like it just like everything started blooming, and just like all these ideas started coming out, and just the flow was just it was easy. Like working with Churrito, all I had to do is give her a couple of progressions, and then she would write to it almost immediately. Actually, almost immediately when she invited me to one of like an open mic that she was doing in a restaurant, and like bring your guitar, and then I just kind of played with her on stage just randomly the first time we ever like performed together. Like I just played this chord progression and then just started writing like words, and she sang it while she was performing. Well, we were performing. Can't even talk right now. Yeah. Raining.
Oh yeah, the rain is definitely affecting the signal a little bit, because we had you perfectly before the show started, and now it's like kind of staggering a little bit.
What was the initial question?
Oh no, it wasn't a question. I was just commenting. But I just gotta say, it's just super cool.
Man. Okay.
Oh, wait.
Well, I mean, we have both been a part of. Oh, I see. Did you lose it?
I think we're still there. Can you hear us? Are we? We might be slightly out of sync. But I was going to say, it's so cool because music a lot of times can be a very just difficult process. And it's cool when you meet somebody that you can just really jive with very immediately. And that doesn't happen all the time. In fact, it's kind of a rare thing.
Yeah. I agree. How many bands have we gone through? I don't know. I mean, it takes certain, like, you have to, when you're in a group of people together, you know, you have to really be on the same mindset to be able to move forward somewhere, I think. And and we just have always had an instant connection from the moment that we met. So it's been really just a blessing to have that soul mate in music.
Yeah.
Very cool. So, do you want to put on our next track and then kind of break up our talking before we go on and ask you a few more questions? Is that cool?
Yeah.
All right.
That sounds cool. That's great. So,
you want to introduce the next track?
Yeah. So this next track is probably one of our favorite tracks, and it's the one that I use the MPC, which is a beat making machine. I use that on stage with this track, and it's called Here and Now.
All right, so give me a second. I'll put it on.
Okay. Shouts out to Tim Atlas for producing this.
Yes.
Perfect
right. That was Here and Now by Astralogik off the Dream Awake EP. What do you want to...
Yeah.
What could you tell us about this track? It's a bit of an older one, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It's been around for a while, but well, for maybe like 3 years, I think. But
2.
but we it kind of happened funny. I was in the middle of taxes, like just paper receipts everywhere,
Yeah.
and for 2 weeks, I was not talking to Rowena. Like I was just ignoring her. She'd try to get my attention, but I would just kind of I'd kind of look at her and I'd, for a second, and then I just go back to like highlighting everything. But then,
highlighters.
But then, she kind of like just stopped me. She like kind of shook me out of this moment, and she was like, "Hey, you're gonna stop what you're doing, and you're gonna write this song with me right now." And I didn't realize what like a robotic daze I was in. So I just kind of snapped out of myself, and I wrote some lyrics to this riff that she had for a bit, and it just came out like magic. It was crazy. I was just like, whoa, where am I? I wasn't even on this planet for like 2 weeks, So
yeah.
It was just a really beautiful moment, something that I still continue to have to remind myself every day.
Yeah.
And like, this is one of those songs that's really resonated with so many people. And we just,
it's about presence.
Yeah. It's really just about presence.
Like presence with each other,
It's weird because
connection.
I feel that, like, when I heard this track in that performance, like, a couple of years ago, like, I was probably just goofing off on my phone, and I'm like, whoa, I need to, like, listen to this. This is really good. What's going on here? There's some really brilliant elements there, just the mix of the way the vocals and this mellow guitar go with the electronics. It just, I love it. It's definitely one of my favorite tracks.
Yeah, it's definitely it was a magical song for us, for sure.
Yeah.
It's brought a lot of opportunities to us.
Yeah, I was going to ask. So this track was a couple years ago, and the next track is also, I think, off the same EP. This track, the first track that we played, New Me, how long ago was that?
A couple of months ago, right?
I think maybe like a year ago almost. Yeah. So we hadn't written music in a while. I kind of went through a dip of just making songs, but we also have a little bit of a focus on another band that we're both in together.
Yeah, tell us about it. Yeah.
Straight up. Yeah, well, the other band is called Echo Zoo, EKOZU, and that band is we have another bandmate. He's a producer, like an Ableton sound master, and we basically it's like pretty much all electronic music.
We're infusing like Astralogik stuff into this band too. So
yeah, I mean we're bringing the vibe to a more energetic space, basically, an energetic soundscape.
Different fan base too, or like it's spreading. I think this like Astralogik has a certain type of community that it reaches out to, and this new band that we have also has a different community to reach out to. It's kind of like almost world bridging the two worlds, because this community it's coming together now. It feels, it's pretty much. I don't know. I feel like this year for me is like world bridging for us, like bridging worlds of communities together. That's kind of like part of, our purpose too,
Yeah. So we're bringing a lot of that vibe over to Echo Zoo and in this, festival scene. And it's a different world for sure, but it's still been beautiful to connect it and bring those foundations from Astralogik to Echo Zoo.
Yeah, very cool. So first part, this is a multi-part question, but the first is, are you going to continue to do both bands for the foreseeable future, keep Astralogik and Echo Zoo, and keep them both going?
Oh, yes, definitely. For sure.
Yes.
They're like very two different realms for us to navigate through sonically. So it's kind of like just like the way the Astra needs the logic, it seems like Astralogik needs an Echo Zoo, like it really helps us sort of balance dealing with the world in such a through the music. And I mean, we're at the point right now, and we're very fortunate to have these two bands to be the avenue to live, because we don't have a day job right now. Like we've always had to have day jobs, and somehow with the help of our community, we've been able to just survive with Echo Zoo, Astralogik, no other side gig.
That's incredible.
It's been crazy.
That is, like,
it's a lot of work though. Man, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I was just at this thing with the lead singer from Geographer was talking about his musical journey, and he's like, a lot of times it can be very depressing. Like, we're successful outwardly, but it's really a lot of work. And I think I'm not here to bring people down, but music's not easy. Like, I really, really have a lot of respect for bands like yours that are making it happen. And I don't mean that lightly, like, oh, congratulations, you're making money at your hobby. No, I mean, like, serious, it's a lot of work. So congrats. Like, I wish you future success and growth and all those good vibes.
I mean, it's a balance. Yeah, we're doing our best to keep them intact, because I mean, just like everyone else who's grinding in life, like, we are doing just the same. We're lucky to be able to use the passion, but there's trade-offs everywhere you go. So we gotta shave off. We gotta live off of food stamps for a little bit. That's what. If we can do the music, that's all we're asking for right now. The music is how we were meant to live on this earth in this body. So we're doing it the best we can.
Well, I think you're onto something. So if you can keep it going, I mean, I think the success will definitely come your way. You're doing all the right stuff.
Thank you, man. Thanks for the support of you and your radio stations for giving us an avenue an
opportunity also
to share the music and share the thoughts and spread that good stuff.
Absolutely. So before we get into our next track, tell us a little bit about what's coming up next. Do you have any shows planned? Because I was looking at your calendar and you had a bunch of shows playing here in sort of the Bay Area, 2017. But you're down in LA now, right?
Yeah, we just moved to LA, so it's a completely different world. We're still kind of getting our hands and feet wet in the scene here, which is a very rich scene. Mm-hmm. But we're mostly focused on being in the studio. So we're going to come out with a track for Astralogik in a couple of weeks in mid-March called Invisible Chains. Rowena's first time producing a track for both of us.
Excellent.
So it's pretty... it's exciting, but we also have a lot of music coming out for Echo Zoo. So if any of y'all liked our vibe, you should definitely find us in our other band, Echo Zoo Music, Echo Zoo Music, online and Instagram and Facebook, all that stuff everywhere.
Could you spell that one more time? Echo Zoo.
It's Echo Zoo is EKOZU Music, spelled regular, MUSIC, and then Astralogik is ASTRA. LOGIK. Tune in.
All right. So before we finish up here, I'm going to play our last track, which is Love Yourself. Any words before we get this going?
Yeah. I mean, this song...
For humanity?
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of, some people would look at the song title and think it's corny, but I mean, at the essence and core of everything, straight up, we don't have any time to mess around with you. You need to love yourself.
Now.
No.
Completely.
That's how we're going to heal this world, yo. So just do it.
Stop
lying to yourself.
Great message. I actually just gave a talk about this. Like, the number one step when you're making music is, just don't beat yourself up. It's the hardest thing to not judge yourself too harshly. And I mean, everywhere, but music, because you're exposing so much of yourself. But anyway, we'll talk about that more. Next track is Love Yourself by Astralogik off of the Dream Awake EP.
To believe and let go of this he said, she said, crying are just denying. Live your beauty and then you will see. That's what moves me and makes me believe. Through this body, let me feel you, don't ever stop trying. This faith we feel, it feels so sweet. It's contagious, it's so fully free. And now I can start the truest of healing. Move this entire world to believe in. Our love will create lightness and peace. Till we fly high and fly feeling free. Push out your name, worried about winning the game. Caught up in thoughts of making fame, man, you know that shit's lame. Every day searching round and round for some substance. Spiritual reluctance, compensating through overproductions. But in simplicity we have more than we think. Power to stand up and speak, the only thing your heart really seeks. Today I will make a choice, today I'll raise up my voice. Stand up and really rejoice, a day to recognize my love.
That was Love Yourself by Astralogik off the Dream Awake EP. All right, so tell us about that track.
Well, I can't give all the details because is this public radio? I don't know.
We are internet radio, but we are going to be eventually on podcast and various places. So
we're leaving our cottage.
We had just moved out of. I lived in the forest, gotten rid of everything in our home. Like everything was out of there, and it was just this empty space. And I think in that place, when you're in a place that's just sort of like nothing but you and a structure, you start to feel yourself a lot more, and just that strong. We had a very strong presence in the space that just told us to speak to the world and speak to ourselves at the same time. And this is sort of what came out. It was a very euphoric moment for sure, and it was almost like an epiphany, really.
Yeah, it was.
That was happening all at once. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna tell you.
Really
that's totally fine.
Very beautiful experience, you know.
You know what I really love? Oh, sorry. Go on.
Oh no, it's okay. It's okay.
I was gonna say what I really love about your music is that it feels very sincere, and I don't mean to say that there isn't lots of great music, but it feels like you're putting a lot of passion and emotion behind it. And when you tell these stories, I mean, I obviously don't know the story behind it until you say it, but I can definitely imagine that you're really thinking very deeply about how to express some concept, some idea, and it comes through.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that.
We think deep all day because we have no time to mess around.
No,
what am I going to eat next?
It's true. You got to cut through the noise. I mean, if you're just making music that's good, like who cares? Like everybody's making music that's good.
True
that. So yeah, I mean, it was a very introspective moment, and it was also timing. You know, she had her guitar, I had my thoughts. We had a notebook. Yeah, my memory was still there, so we made that happen. And
yeah,
this is actually another song that a lot of people have hit us up privately and just, you know, reached out and said, like, you know, this got me through a breakup, you know, or this got me through a really, really like rough time in my life. And so, it seemed like it was something that needed to be said, needed to be put out into the world. So we're really happy we can connect with people in those moments and see that we're all kind of the same. We're all going through the same stuff, because that was just me thinking to myself, and me feeling what she was feeling, and everybody else felt the same thing. So,
and that chorus, "Love Yourself," I sang it like years before I met Chirito, and it kind of like that progression kind of like stuck in my head, and no one was able to really write about it, or what, I guess, it was just really hard to write that verse or whatever line that, but when I introduced it to Chirito, she was able to like write to it right away, because it just felt right, you know, for her. I mean, I don't know, did it feel right for you?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's here, right?
Yeah, it's definitely there. So he surprised us when he helped produce that song. It was the last one that he kind of showed us in the and when he showed that to us, I was like, yo, that's really dope, man, because the drumming in the beginning, it's kind of like ceremonial in a way, because of the tribal drum, kind of like that hip hop beat, but then it's still kind of tribal in a way. Kind of
that was the astral.
That was the astral experience.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We'll see how it comes across in the recording, because I think we're like 5 seconds apart. Like, it's pretty bad.
Oh,
like, you can hear everything you're saying. We've got the vast majority. So I don't want to keep you for too much longer, but do you have any last words? I know you said you have some new tracks coming out. Any albums, shows? What else is going on? Like, last couple of things.
We're coming to the Bay.
We are gonna be in the Bay for a little bit, and we might throw a random surprise show / open mic / birthday party for me. So keep an eye out on social media. We'll probably post it online, and we'd love to see all of your faces there to jam out and share some vibes and good music and
send positivity in the world.
And we just want to shout out to the Fly Panay local Filipina American leaders and show, you know, spread our thoughts about being an artist and a leader in our communities. So yeah, just, you know, Facebook and Instagram and these conversations with y'all. So let's just keep.
Please message us, you know.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for reaching out to us online. I mean, you just sort of sent us an email and we got to connect over and have this conversation. And we appreciate BEMP Radio.
Yes.
Echoplex for hooking us up. And also we just want to give a shout out to all our family, because we have a couple of family and friends listening. Thank you so much for supporting us and being a part of our lives. This being a musician is not easy. We have like zero funds, but we have a lot of very rich relationships, and that's what's keeping us alive. So we thank you so much for your support, and we hope to continue to build bridges with you through the rest of our lives. Yeah.
And it goes without saying, but for those of you who are listening, if you hear Astralogik is coming through, definitely go check them out, catch their live show. Whenever that is, I don't know when the next ones are going to be, but if whenever it's on the radar, follow them on Facebook and all the usual social media. I'm sure it's been a blast. I hope you two enjoyed being on the show as much as I enjoyed having you.
Oh yeah,
yeah, we did.
All right. Well, I'm going to get back to my usually scheduled programming of just playing weird shit that people send to me. But
wait a minute. We could cuss.
Yeah. We're. I'm sorry, I didn't specify.
It's been a crazy, eventful thing. If we had known that.
All right. Well, thanks again for being on the show.
I'm good.
That was Astralogik. I hope you guys enjoyed their music. It's been a pleasure for me to hear them and to see their music grow and evolve and just follow them along in their journey. I wish you both the best success in Echo Zoo, Astralogik, whatever other groups you start. You've got my support, and I'll do whatever I can to keep it going. We get a lot of submissions from a lot of different artists, almost all of them from the Bay Area, or at least have their roots in the Bay Area. And usually I play about 10 to 12 tracks. So the next one I have coming up is Nimbus Villainy from Giacomelli off of the album Weather Calculator. So stay tuned for just a sec. That was Nimbus Villainy by Giacomelli off of the album Weather Calculator. So Giacomelli, as you can probably tell, does a lot of music inspired by 80s and sort of classic analog synths. I listened to some of his tracks. Very cool stuff, a little bit more maybe mellower, I guess you would say. There's not like always a strong beat element, but very cool stuff. Very I don't know. If you listen to a lot of soundtracks I guess I would call it soundtrack from the 60s through the 80s. That's kind of early synth stuff. Maybe a lot of John Carpenter, if you're a fan or familiar with that. So I'm not super familiar with Giacomelli as a person, but I definitely, if he's playing shows, I want to check him out. So Giacomelli, that's spelled Giacomelli. If you look up Giacomelli music on Bandcamp, on SoundCloud, that's probably going to be the best place to find him. He's submitted quite a few tracks, so I'll be playing other stuff of his in the future on other playlists. So I'm going to move on actually to the next track. This is Tech 3 from Annie, or Ani. I should probably figure that out. ANI. Tech 3 from Ani. Tech 3 by Ani. If you're interested in hearing more from Ani, check her out at ani-web, ani-web.com. A little bit of background about Ani. Very, very talented, live looping musician, involved in the DIY music community, making own custom controllers. Ani has an entire setup that's just iPad. I'm sure there are others, of course, but I've seen videos of her sets. Really cool. Performed in the live looping festival, Y2K Loop Fest a few years back. Also, one of the leaders of our sister meetup that I run. So I run the Laptop Music Production Workshop along with some of my friends that were here a couple weeks ago. Ani runs, along with a bunch of other people, the San Francisco Electronic Music Meetup Group. So if you're looking for a bunch of like-minded people that are making music and sharing their tracks and kind of their journey and their progress, go check them out. They meet at, what is it called? In Emeryville at Expressions College. They meet once a month. I don't know the exact details, but look them up on Facebook and the meetup page for SFEMM or San Francisco Electronic Music Meetup. So, with that, I'm going to move on to our next track. This is from Chris Grant, a.k.a. Idea Unsound. He's one of the hosts, one of the DJs for the show. He was actually on a few weeks back, I think 3 weeks ago. So I'm going to put on, this is All In, original mix by Idea Unsound.
You know I'm all in, girl, do or die. Say you've never done it like this. You know I'm all in, girl, do or die. You say you've never done it like this.
That was All In, original mix by Idea Unsound, a.k.a. Chris Grant, one of the other hosts of this show. So, I've never actually met Chris, but he seems like a really cool guy. We've communicated a bunch through Discord, Facebook, various other channels. But the way this show kind of is set up is every DJ does their own thing. We all coordinate through Facebook and a few other places, but we don't all necessarily know each other. In fact, I know some of the people, but I definitely don't know all of the DJs. So in the future, I'd love to get on the show with some of those other folks. But for now, Chris is just an artist who has a song that I'm playing that I really like. But in the future, I might have him in the show or vice versa. I might get onto his show and we'll bullshit there. So actually, my buddy Andrew is in the studio with me. If you could get in close to the mic and say hello.
Oh, hi. How are you?
Well, now I got somebody to riff off of, so I had a few tracks to play. But so we'll talk about some stuff in a little bit. But I'm going to put on the next track. This is Lost by Conifold off of the album Conifold. That was Lost by Conifold off of this same named album, Conifold. So, Andrew, what'd you think?
I liked it. I'm not allowed to tell people that I thought it was good because my friend Gene has a thing where he wants me to use better descriptions when it comes to something. So when we go out to eat, it's usually I tell him this is good, and he gives me the stink eye for it.
Well, I mean, you can be more descriptive than just saying it's good. I actually really enjoyed that track's vibe a lot. It has this very moody kind of, the pulsing bass is really, I don't know, it puts me in a weird headspace, but one that I really like. I listen to a lot of music like that, actually.
Kind of a dreamlike state, you'd say, and like
I use the word pensive a lot. It makes me very thoughtful and sort of reflective, like,
Yeah.
So, most of you guys most of you guys don't even know who I am, but my buddy Andrew here has been pretty much my go-to source for music for a long time, actually.
Oh, shucks.
Pretty much any time I'm like, hey, Andrew, check out this new band. He's like, oh, them? I've heard about them like 10 years ago. So usually if I am looking for recommendations for good music, I can just hit this guy up, and he's got something cool. Either a new band has got a show coming up, or some album that I hadn't heard, or just something weird and a little off the wall. So I definitely want to say thank you on the air for that, Andrew.
You're welcome. My pretentious music has finally come in handy. I feel blessed.
Oh no, you just you have good taste. You're a tastemaker, man. Make sure you get up close to the mic. So I'm gonna put on the next track. This are you ready for that?
I am.
Cool. This is Photograph by Crashfaster. That was Photograph by Crashfaster off of the album Superchroma. So, a little bit about Crashfaster before we talk about the track. They are a chiptune dance electronic band out of San Francisco. A lot of the band members are in a lot of different bands. I think between the four of them, they're in like 7 bands. It's, regular active musicians. In fact, I wanted to make a quick plug. Keiko, the singer in the band, is about to release a new album. And if you look on Kickstarter for Alice Knows Karate, they have her new album coming up called, I forget what it was called, Fable Wave. Songs inspired by fables and video games. So that's, I don't know when this is going to go up exactly, but that should be going for at least until the end of March. So if you want us to back that Kickstarter project or check the album when it's out, go ahead and do that. That's Alice Knows Karate. And Crashfaster, of course, they actually played MagWest, which was a video game music festival that happened in August last year. It's happening again this year. What did you think of the music?
This particular track, I enjoyed the combination of the funky bass lines plus that particular synth. I thought that was a combination I haven't heard of. It's an uncommon combination, but I liked it.
Yeah, I thought they really balanced. I mean, it wasn't chiptune, but there was a lot of those really simple square wave and basic kind of chippy sounds sitting in there.
Yeah, I always appreciate those types of, electronic music paired with more melodic bass. It gives it kind of an interesting sound, a very different sound in terms of pairing those two types together. So
yeah. So I'm going to put on our next track, and this one is a bit of a weird one. It's more, I would say, closer to a sound design experiment than it is a song. I think it's really cool, but it's definitely a little out of the ordinary. So this is, and I'm going to butcher the pronunciation, this is Utsukushii Hoshi by Polybius off of the album Korekushan. That was Utsukushii Hoshi by Polybius off of the album Korekushan. So, sound design experiments, maybe a little bit far afield. Do not adjust your dial. That is how it's supposed to sound. It's so obviously the world of electronic sounds and music can be quite experimental. So I like to step out a little bit and explore. What did you think of that track, Andrew?
I always enjoy pieces of music that push the boundaries of what music is. It was far out, as you said, and you weren't kidding. But, you know, opening your mind to new things is always, it's part of the music experience.
Yeah. I mean, if you're just listening to the same stuff, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but the reason I do the show is because I like to find new stuff and share it with people. Exactly. And there's a lot of really interesting stuff coming out of the Bay Area. So, before we move on, Marcos, who is Polybius, he wrote a note in his submission, and I wanted to say it this time because for my next show it will be too late, but he is the Community Relations Manager for the Community School of Music and Art in Mountain View, or CSMA, and they're hosting a 3-day electronic music festival. So if you look up CSMA Electronic Music Festival, April 13th to April 15th, which is Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I believe. And they'll have artists like The Flashbulb, Bathing, Polybius, Moldover, and actually John Chowning, if you guys know anything about synthesizers, he's the guy who created the FM synth algorithm, essentially the guy who gave us FM synthesis. He's been a composer for many years, but a lot of really cool people, and it's a free event, but you do need to get advanced tickets. So just so they can get a head count and make sure, all that sort of thing. So it's April 13th to the 15th. That's the CSMA Electronic Music Festival. I don't know the full details, but it is a school for arts and that sort of thing. And so they have a lot of workshops, programs. I don't know how often events like this come around, but it's really cool. And we actually have kind of a lot of events that are like that going on. I'll try to do a better job of promoting them. I don't always have time to prepare as well as I'd like for these shows, but when I can, I will point out with as much lead time as I can when these cool festivals, events, and whatnot are going on. I might even take you, buddy.
Oh, thanks.
All right, so we have 3 more tracks of the night. This is actually a collaboration between Little Spiral and Euphoric. So Euphoric started this show, and they just released this track, I want to say a week ago, like very recently. So this is Start Stop by Little Spiral and Euphoric.
Before lies a devil shiny object. Behind her lies a thousand unfinished projects. With what she starts, she stopped. She let everything drop. Like a heartbeat. Like a heartbeat. Like a heartbeat. Like a heartbeat. Tell her to keep moving forward. And she don't know what she's moving toward. Does anything matter when the pathway is scattered like a heartbeat, like a heartbeat, like a heartbeat, like a heartbeat. What happens when you're stuck in the now? The thread moves the future and the past together at last. At a heartbeat. At a heartbeat. At a heartbeat. At a
That was Start Stop by Little Spiral and Euphoric. So what'd you think?
It reminded me a lot of the XX, London Grammar, Florence and the Machine, that kind of a sound where the piano and this song and kind of a minimalist beat to it. I thought it was all right. I thought the composition was pretty well, although there was a little more reverb than what I'm used to.
Yeah, we were talking about it a little. It's like it's got a nice sparse vibe. I think there's something that's a little bit missing, but it's almost there. Like it's got a really, really good energy, and just I really love the way the vocals are layered over on top of that kind of echoey, reverby space. I think it works really well. But yeah, I don't know. Any other thoughts on that track before we move on?
I think that it just needs, me and Gene were just saying, it needs a little more, just something, I suppose, maybe the drums or something, it just needs kind of a little more oomph to it. in my opinion, of course. But it definitely has the makings for something. It just needs something a little extra.
Yeah, it's the bones of a really, really good track, and I can definitely see where it's going, and I look forward to seeing like maybe it gets remixed or rearranged or chopped up, or I think that's it's a tight track.
Yeah.
And so for those of you that don't know, Little Spiral is a pianist, singer, and she gives workshops on how to promote yourself on social media. So if you're interested in learning how to improve your social media standing, check out Little Spiral. But also, she's a very good musician and composer. Check her out. And Euphoric, also a great musician. Excuse me. And also, while not a DJ on the show, the person that actually orchestrated this whole program. So the reason why I'm sitting here is because Euphoric got in touch with Dave at Echoplex and said, hey, we'd like to put on a radio show focusing on local Bay Area musicians. Do you think we could do something? And so that's the genesis of this project. It's only been going on a month, but this is, I think, our 5th show. Yeah, I believe so. And hopefully we'll have a lot more shows to go. So thank you very much, Euphoric, for putting this on and also for putting out that track. With that, we're going to move on to my second to last track, which is Yellow Colors Run Mix by ContainHer. So the full title of that was Yellow, Colors Run Keith LaRouge Remix by ContainHer. So, ContainHer is an artist that's been performing a lot lately, but something specific that I wanted to mention is she runs a bi-weekly, every second Saturday at the Stork Club in Oakland. She runs a live electronic music showcase called Synth Aesthesia. Basically, if you have tracks you want to play or if you want to do a live set, the kind of stuff that we're playing here, you want to perform live, that is a place to do it. And part of the mission of this group is to focus on Bay Area electronic music, so gotta put a plug for a group that's doing it. Like, it's only once a month, but, any time is better than nothing because it's hard to get out, I've never even been up, and I've been wanting to go for a while. It's just so hard for me to get up to Oakland from the South Bay.
True.
But it seems very cool. I've seen a few people who have performed there, and I know their music's really good. So if you're in the area or you can make it up to Oakland, second Saturdays of the month, Synth Aesthesia, definitely something to check out. What do you think of the track?
I thought it was very 80s inspired. It had kind of an 80s feel to it that I liked. That kind of this singing style plus that particular synth. It reminded me of an 80s track.
Yeah, I mean, it says like Le Rouge remix, and it actually sounds a little bit like La Rue from a few years back. It's got that sort of brighter, maybe slightly higher energy 80s kind of sound, which I really like.
I like too.
I think it works really well. I don't actually have all that much to say. It's getting late, But did you have any last thoughts on that track before we close out the night?
I'm very interested, La Rouge, and do you know anything about La Rouge?
No. The artist is ContainHer.
ContainHer, but the La Rouge is just the name of the remix.
The name of the track is called Yellow, but I don't know that much about the rest of the subtitle there.
Oh, okay. I thought it was that track and then a remix of that track
But it was by ContainHer.
Gotcha.
So yeah, she's a singer, and I believe I'm not sure actually if that's her on vocals, but it is a great remix, I have to say.
I liked it.
All right. So usually the way I like to do these things is introduce the last track and then play it out and then close out the show. So I'm not going to be doing any talking after this. So the last track we have tonight is by a group called Punjabi Tea House. It's a really interesting group. They are a trio, or formerly a trio. I think they are no longer active at the moment, but Mark, the head of the group, is still doing some solo stuff. I think he was actually at Synthesthesia last time or is going the next time. So Punjabi Tea House is a live electronic music jam band. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Like, they actually improv live. And I think they're a really interesting sound. It's like... and you'll hear in the track coming up, it's a mix of world elements, electronics, traditional band arrangement. It's a very unique and very fresh sound. I like it a lot. And the track you're going to hear to close out the night is 3 a.m. Rain by Punjabi Tea House. And this is an improv from 2016. And... in case I forget, well, we'll chat a little bit at the end. Just a little tag. Okay, that was 3 a.m. Rain by Punjabi Tea House. So, I'm getting tired, so I'm probably not going to stick around too much longer here. I'm going to cut the show. But anything you want to say before we get out of here?
I just enjoy listening to these local bands, local acts that are part of the Bay Area. It's nice to see the diversity of the music that people are putting out.
Yeah. You know, the main thing that's been really frustrating being in and around and from San Jose is for years, everybody says the same stupid shit. Like, oh, there's nothing cool in San Jose. What do you even do down there? And I have to admit, everything that's happening is kind of hard to find out about. So part of the mission of this show is to connect people to the music, artists to each other. If you hear something that is cool, reach out to those people because, like, any music scene lives and dies by the strength of its community. And in recent years, it kind of ebbs and flows. We had a good period a few years ago, but I want to do my part. And if the show helps even a little bit getting the scene a little bit livelier, then I feel like I've accomplished my mission.
Definitely. You know, in this day and age, things are atomized when it comes to not just music, but everything, and be able to put some sort of community or some sort of way to glue them all together is a noble cause.
Yeah, I mean, the internet does connect us in a lot of ways, but there's nothing that beats being in a place and communicating and working with the musicians in the real world. I mean, I don't know how many times I've experienced this. I'll talk to somebody online and we get along great, whatever, and then we meet in person and it's like a huge new dimension to the friendship. Like, you get along, you think about them more often, you think of a show and you're like, oh, I totally know the perfect guy for this, and or girl or whoever. No, no
Perfect
disrespect
person,
for
yes.
sure. Perfect person, yeah.
Yes.
And yeah, that just doesn't, I don't get that same thing when I'm online. It's like, yeah, okay, I know this person's really good at this or that, but I don't always think, because on the internet, everybody's kind of the same. I know hundreds of musicians and people, but in the real world, you know who are the people that show up and who come and support shows in the community. So
Making a real connection.
yeah, exactly. I think nothing is ever going to replace the real connection. That's how humans work. And that's, even
Since the beginning of time, man.
exactly, that's the stuff Astralogik was talking about. Stay together, love yourself, love each other, be good to everyone.
Totes.
All right, well, that's enough bullshitting for somebody who said he was going to get off the air. So, with that, this has been the Bempire. I'm Gene.
I'm Andrew.
Yeah, my buddy Andrew. I'll try to have a guest on every show. I'm usually on the first Saturdays of every month, so if you like this format, check us out. First Saturday, 7 p.m. Thanks again to Dave at Echoplex. And, of course, Euphoric for helping us put this show on. And really all the musicians who are sending in tracks. If you've got anything, send it in. Either send it to the Facebook group, Bay Electronic Music Performers, or tag us in a post. Best to do it that way, but MP3s or waves, whatever is better than links to SoundCloud. It makes it a lot easier for us. So don't just send us a link to an album. We have to figure out a way how to download it. All right. Have a good night, everybody. I'm checking out. It is about 8:45, right? Yeah, something like that. So I hope you've had a nice evening, and I'll catch you in about a month.
Take care.
Take care.